Hi again, it's Mike, Wrinkly Mike. Today what we're going to be talking about is how I fabricated the undercarriage for the puddleduck. Before we do that though, a couple of days ago the weather was absolutely gorgeous. It's honking down with rain at the moment, so it's changed somewhat, big storms, but that particular day was nice. So Harry and I decided to go sailing. So took a little video of us sailing, which we'll put up now, not very long, bear with us, then we'll come back to the undercarriage. Okay, yep. So yeah, you're filming, yeah, right. Right, little boat, little pop boat, which I bought, I don't know, ages ago, 5 to 10 years ago, something like that. It's called a tuk-tuk boat by the Chinese. It's got a lady in it, I think. Oh, there's a man that side.
That's a man.
Lady there. Beautiful little thing. Bath. Outside bath, because we live in the middle of nowhere, of course. So we've got this outside bath. And we've got some strawberries. No, raspberries. Can you see the raspberries? There's red raspberries ready to pick this morning, Harry?
Yeah.
Right. What we'll do with this is we've got this little holder for some kind of something that burns, okay, obviously. We'll put them inside, we'll heat it up, and we'll play with it in the bath. Okay? Right. So what I've got here is a bit of firelighter, actually. I use firelighters. I don't know whether it will work with firelighters. So we'll just try it with that bit to begin with, shall we? So we'll set a light. There's no wind this morning, so hopefully it won't blow out. Just get that hose pipe off there.
Yeah.
Oh, blimey. That's a bit fierce, isn't it? Never mind. We'll put that in there underneath the little burner. Is he still burning? Yeah. Yeah. So. Right, we'll just wait. Right. half an hour afterwards, yeah. There she goes. Whoop. Has he gone out?
Yeah.
Let's put another bit in. Making a lot of smoke.
Yeah.
Let's give it another quick prime.
Oh. There it goes. Flying like the wind.
Oh. just about hear the pop pop, can't you?
I think so, yeah. You can see the ripples in the water.
Oh, that's the best thing to do when you're in the bath, isn't it, eh? Oh. Lovely, that. No.
What's that?
Didn't. I don't know. Something trying to swim that can't swim.
Oh.
Ooh, there's some nice red ones at the end. Well, nearly. And a big molehill. You see that molehill? Okay, hope you like that. We did. Right, back to the undercarriage. Firstly, the undercarriage on the puddleduck I've made out of 3mm piano wire. In France it's called cord de piano, and I think in America it's called music wire. But it's horrible stuff to work with. It's hard, and I don't have a bender, so I used my vice here.
Your advice?
My advice, yeah. This isn't so much a how to do it video as a what I did, and if you want to follow me, then follow me. Right, piano wire comes, well, I buy it. Comes in different diameters, obviously. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 10mm, I think it is, diameter. And it comes at about 1 metre long, so about 3 foot long. Sometimes you buy it in SWG, standard wire gauge. I don't know what the standard wire gauge is for 3mm, but you can look that one up, obviously. And the first thing I do is to cut the wire in half. So I've got two 500mm lengths. Because it's less, it's not unwieldy, is it? So once you have your 500mm of piano wire, what I actually do is I mark the length dead center. You can actually still see the mark on here that I made with a felt tip. So I mark it dead center and then work out how much each side to give me the flat area that I want to fix onto the bottom of the fuselage. Okay, so I then use my trusty thingy, square, unsquare, square, to find the angle that I need to bend the piano wire to. Can you just hand me up that drawing there, Harry, please? Okay, we've got the drawing. It's not this one, it's the other one. Can you hand me up the other drawing? Sorry about that. I'll put that there. Okay. There you go, here's a picture of the the two bits, okay, front and back, or front and rear. Okay, so what I do is I mark, undo the whatnot, put that on there, move that out to the angle that I want, okay, and then clamp it up like that, so that that is now the angle that we're looking at bending the piano wire to. Okay, so it's that angle there. Alright, so you can stop. You probably have to overbend it a bit because it's dead springy. So you mark each side, as I said, put that loose bit in the vise. Leather gloves, nice pair of thick leather gloves is what I use, and pull it around. Don't try and smack it with a hammer, otherwise you just end up ripping your vise off the bench or cracking the piano wire. Don't heat it either. No need to heat it when it's when you're bending it. It ruins its temper and ain't much good afterwards. So that's the first thing that we need to do. I put that down there. After we've bent this first bit, then we need to find where on the fuselage it needs to be fitted. Okay, so we've got an underside drawing of the underside photo picture here of the fuselage. And what I've done is I've drawn two pencil lines. Well, I drew the first one, okay? Drew the first pencil line, which is the forward one. And then I use self-tapping screws on this. You've got your plate there, which is 6mm of plywood, 2 3mm bits or 6mm. Just put a pilot hole down. Always put a pilot hole down, even for a self-tapper, a small one like that. Screw it in. Don't want your plywood to split. And that will be for your little clamps, which will hold the wire on. Okay, so you got your first bend of wire. This one here. Okay, so you can put that there. Next thing to do, once you've fixed these two plates on, obviously at 90 degrees to the fuselage length, next thing to do is to measure the length of the legs and to put this second bend on down here, which takes you onto the actual bit of the undercarriage which will hold the wheels. Do exactly the same each side, measure down from here, exactly the same each side, in the vise, bend it, bend it. You might end up with a bit that long at the end. What you then need to do is to cut it off, obviously, to the length that you want, to allow you to have the wheel and its two little collets, okay, to hold the wheel on. You can solder a washer on the inside edge if you want to, but I'm going to use two collets. Okay, I'll explain in a minute why these are different. No, I'll explain now. Right, the wheels that I bought. I've got one over there. I've got a big wheel over there, haven't I? That's it. Okay. These are the wheels. I showed you those before. I also told you that they came with a 4mm hole for the axle. And as this is only 3mm, it's going to wobble around, isn't it? So I have soldered onto here a length of brass tube. The brass tube is inside diameter 3, outside diameter 4mm. 4mm obviously to go inside the wheel. If I can get it in with my funny eyesight at the moment, I can't get it in because of my eyes. Okay, there you go. Alright, so that runs nice and smooth on there. There's enough room each side for a collet. How I did that? Let me explain. Clean up completely the piece of piano wire on each end. And then flux the piano wire. Cut your 2 pieces of tube to length, just a wee bit longer than the piano wire, not much, a wee bit longer. Okay, about an 1/8 of an inch or something like that. Okay, that's all. Then when you put this piece, when you slide it on top of the piano wire, do it with a rotating action. You can flux the inside of this brass tube also if you wish with a cocktail stick with some flux on it. Okay, so make sure that the whole of the inside between the piano wire and the copper tube is fluxed. Push it on, heat it up and solder it. Okay, and that 1/8 of an inch end where the brass tube's longer than the piano wire, can be filled obviously with solder just to make a nice finish to it, and it adds to the strength also, obviously. Okay, so that's your first bit done. Okay, the second bit, which is the holdy other bit here, is a lot harder to do. The way I did that was that I drew a line along the back of the fuselage as I did for the front one. I fixed the front axle in the fuselage with the plastic clampy doofy things, and then I started to bend up, marked it out in exactly the same way as the first one. Obviously find the centre, bend this first, bend this up to the angles that you want. Okay, you can find that with your piece of cardboard or with your unsquare square. And then you need to bend up these tips so they run parallel and close to the front part of the undercarriage, and everything sits at the proper angle. Okay, then what we have to do is attach this piece of piano wire to that piece of piano wire. So I pre-tinned this section here on the main undercarriage leg, and pre-tinned the same section on the support leg. So that's been pre-tinned, okay, cleaned completely, fluxed and tinned. I did that with a soldering iron. I think I used about 60, can't remember what it is now, 60, 70 watt soldering iron to do that. The difficult bit is putting the copper wire on. This is copper wire which I took out the centre of a 3-core solid wire electrical cable. So cut that off, wound it around tight, pair of pliers, make sure everything's all together nice and tight. Did this opposite edge exactly the same. Put it back on the fuselage just to make sure we were in completely the right place, it wasn't cocked over, the whole thing's not skew with, etc, etc. Okay. Then once this has been wound and that has been wound or bound, it's a case of soldering this area here. Okay, now for that I used a gas torch because it's quite a substantial piece of kit you're doing here. I think you probably need about 100 watt soldering iron to do that, otherwise it takes an age and you never get the solder in properly. So one of these butane torches like that, one of these things, camping gas, I don't know what you'd use that for when you're camping, but apart from burning your tent down perhaps. Right, heat it up, flux obviously, my solder isn't fluxed so I just dip that in the flux as well, so you've got a bit of solder on your, bit of flux on your solder as it comes out, and solder this part up here. Okay, make sure it goes in between the two wires, the two legs, and also completely covers the area where you bound it with the copper wire. And then, because you've got brass, you've got piano wire, you've got copper, and you've got solder. And all the three colours all mixed together is a bit of a mess. So I just painted this a bit black. Don't know whether it's coming, it needs another coat of black. Okay, just another coat of black paint, that's all on there, just to cover up the mess. And then what you can do is put that back on your fuselage like that, and drill the holes for the rear clamps. I don't drill those until last because you don't know exactly where the damn thing's going to sit. At least I don't. So it's probably best to do that, or it's not that way around, is it? What am I doing? That's it. That'll look good, put one back to front, wouldn't it? Anyway, that's the way it goes, and you know, you can put your clampies on it afterwards, okay? You've got some guide on there because you've already drawn the line. Doesn't matter if it's out from the line a bit. And pre-drill. I use self-tapping screws for this because you could drill a clearance hole for a bolt because you've got room in the top. It's underneath the servo, but you just take the servo plate out. I've screwed my servo plates in so I can take them out. You can put bolts if you want, but if I land on my undercarriage a bit hard, I prefer the screws to be ripped out rather than the bottom of the fuselage. So to start with, I'll use self-tapping screws until the time comes where I have to put on big washers and this, that and the other. But these little plastic things here, they aren't actually all that strong. There's not much material on them here. I think cheap as chips, Chinese crap. Again, not too strong, not flexible. So make sure that your fit on the undercarriage is pretty good, so that you're not putting any stress on those little plasticky things, otherwise they will break. Alright, that's about it. I'm not going to paint this, I don't think. I'll just leave it as it is. And of course I forgot to order some 4mm collets. Loads of 3mm collets, but I got any 4s. So if I thought about it before, I thought I had some 4s, but if I thought about it before, of course, if I wanted to put on 3mm collets, I would have cut this bit of brass tube down, put the collet on, put the brass tube on, soldered the brass tube on, and then put the collet on the other bit of piano wire that was sticking out the other end of the tube. But I didn't think of that at the time because I thought I had some 4mm collets. So I'm going to have to go off and order some. It's alright ordering this stuff, it's no problem if it was only a couple of quid delivery, but they bang the delivery up to make you think that you've got to order some more stuff because it's going to make it worthwhile. So I've got to think up some stuff that I need. Okay, donut. Looks like a donut. Yeah. Talking about donuts, I just made some bread which looks like that. Okay, we'll see you next time when I should have glued on the tailplane, fin, rudder, all that stuff here, which is already glued together, as Sonny Boy will show you. Sonny Boy, yeah, that's ready to go on. Probably use the old progressive epoxy on that, but I'll strap the wings on with the elastic bandies, put the fuselage down on something nice and flat, make sure that the wings are horizontal, and then eye up the tailplane before I glue it, obviously. Make sure that that's not sitting squiffy. If it is sitting squiffy, then I'll have to do something about it. pack it up, chalk it up on one side or something, I don't know. We'll see, but hopefully it won't be. So that's just a straight glue on job, and the bottom hinge obviously of the fin, the direction, what do they call that? Gouvernail. Here in France, I think. That's the profondeur. Okay, profondeur is kind of like the depth, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it makes it go up and down, deeper or higher, I suppose. And this is the, what do they call that? The direction. Can't remember what they call that. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to the waffle. Bye.